Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today I have a really simple lure modification that you can apply to almost any bait that you use. Could be a spinner bait, a crankbait, a plastic. It doesn't matter because you can apply this to virtually any bait, and it's a super simple technique that will not only provide you with some additional flash, it'll draw fish from further away, and it'll separate your bait from other people that are using the same bait. I can assure you at the professional level, there are anglers that are doing this, and there are anglers that kind of like, there's like an underground group of people that are applying this to almost every bait that they throw, and they swear by it. And before I get into what that tip is, I do want to remind you guys that if you want to support the channel, please use the Tackle Warehouse affiliate link to do your tackle shopping. The link is in the video description. If you want to build some of these that I'm talking about right now, I'll put links in the video description so that it'll take you right to the components that I'm using. And at the same time, if you're looking for a little bit of help on your local lakes, check out the lake breakdowns that I do for fishthemoment.com. It's a really good way to help you get started with how to break down the lakes in your area. And tips like this are ones that are going to help you catch more fish. So I became aware of this several years ago. I'm going to say like 2015, I was fishing the One Bass US Open out on Lake Mead in the Las Vegas area. And there was an angler out there that was doing it, and he was having really good success. And he was showing me how simple it is to do it and how good it looks in the water. And I'll show you how this looks in the water after I show you how to build it. But it's a super easy technique that just draws a lot of attention. I really like to apply this if I'm fishing around the shad spawn, which is just starting to ramp up down in the southern part of the country. I love to use it if I'm fishing in dirtier water because it adds a little extra flash and vibration. And I really like to do it if I know that the fish are feeding on really small minnows. And you'll see why here in a minute. So what do you need to do this lure modification? You need a couple bobber stops. You need a blade with a swivel on it, and then whatever bait that you want to use. The first thing you're going to do is apply one of your bobber stops to a main line. So I'm going to put one on here. Okay. So I've got one mounted on. At that point, then you're just going to take your blade with the swivel, and you're going to attach that. That'll slide up to your bobber stop and stop. And then you're going to apply a second bobber stop. And I'm applying the second bobber stop, and you'll slide that up so that it's basically right by the blade. At that point, you go ahead and you tie on whatever bait it is that you want to use. So in this case, I'm just going to tie on this Berkley square bowl crankbait so that you guys can see what it looks like. Cut the tag off. Those hooks are sharp. Okay, so at this point now, what you've done is you've created a little bit of flash, and you can adjust the length you want. I generally go with about, I'm gonna say about 5 inches like that. And at this point, this isn't sliding anywhere. That's not going anywhere. I'm going to draw some flash from the blade, and it's going to look like that crankbait is chasing a little minnow. So what you're doing is you're just creating that whole environment of one fish taking advantage of another fish. So the crankbait's trying to feed on the minnow. But anytime that happens, what happens by other predator species is they look at that as a chance to take advantage of a fish or prey that is kind of engaged in its own hunt. And when that happens, they will prey on the fish that's feeding on the smaller fish. It's kind of that, that big fish eats little fish theory. I mean, you see it a lot of times with bluegills. If you're fishing around a dock where there's bluegills that are feeding, a lot of times there's a bass around that's waiting for one of those little bluegills to mess up and forget that the bass is there. So if you see a bass, if there's a bass in an area that sees the crankbait feeding on the small spinner, it's going to look at this as an opportunity to eat. So this whole theory really works well in just kind of generating additional attention. So I want to take you down to the water and show you how this looks, because it is super realistic. It's a lot of additional flash and vibration, and it's just something that's different. A lot of people aren't doing it, and you can adjust really easily. But you can use this on almost any bait. You want to use it on a crankbait, go ahead and do it. A spinner bait, fine. You want to do it on a Texas rig, go for it. I really like it on like swimming worms. It's just something you can do to add a little flash. So let's go down to the water. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so here it is. The little spinner attached. You can see it does not slide at all with the bobber stop. Holds up really well. I should add that if you're looking for the most simple way to do this, Decoy makes a component system where all you do is slide it right on, just like a simple bobber stop. It all comes on one bobber stop cord. Super easy to do, but you can see it's just a super easy weight. Holds up great. The bobber stops don't slide at all. Very, very unique little system. Just something different that the fish haven't seen, and it's something that I think you need to try. You can do it with almost any bait out there. I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned. Another video coming out tomorrow.